Good morning, class. Let's cook some breakfast. Everyone knows how to cook, but not everyone knows how to cook well. As a chef with 15 years of experience, I've picked up many tips and tricks of how to fry the perfect egg. Today, we will be looking at how to fry an egg using the right equipment, the proper technique, and how to use that technique with perfect timing. In his article, The Right Tool for Easy Eggs, Peter Allen says, "The truth is, cooking eggs should be simple. As long as you have the right ingredients and the right tools, you should be able to come out with a flawless dish with every attempt." So, the first step is to have the right equipment. You want to make sure to have a non-stick pan that has defined edges. You want to make sure there's a difference between the bottom of the pan and the side of the pan. If you have a rounded pan, you're not going to be able to use that edge to help you flip the egg over. You also want to make sure to have a small rubber spatula to help you loosen the egg before you flip it. You're also going to need some sort of lubricant, whether you use butter, which I recommend to add better flavor, or you can use olive or canola oil, or at the very least, you need to have some Pam spray. You also want to make sure that your pan is clean and dry. If there's any sort of debris or water still in the pan, your egg is going to stick to it, and when you try and flip it, you're just going to ruin the whole thing. So make sure it's clean and dry. Alright, now that we have the right tools for the job, do not rush into cracking those eggs just yet. As the old saying goes, practice makes perfect. The best way to practice with eggs is to build up your confidence first. And the best way to do that is practicing using a piece of bread or toast. So, the first step when we're practicing this technique is you want to make sure that your product, in this case, toast, but then it's going to be the egg later, you want to make sure that you start with it towards the edge of the pan. If you try and flip from the middle of the pan, it's not going to work. You're not going to catch any edge, and it's just going to be a disaster. So you move your product towards the edge of the pan. Now what we're going to do with the pan itself is we're going to scoop it down. Then, as we're bringing it back up into the scoop, at the last second you want to give your wrist a little flick. You flick it back towards yourself. So scoop down, flick back. Ready? Just like that. And then, once you get good enough and have perfected flipping toast, you can move on up to the egg. Now, remember, when you're first starting out learning this technique, you're gonna break a lot of yolks. Don't worry about it. Everybody does it. But eventually you want to build up that confidence with that technique to be able to flip the egg without breaking the yolk. Alright, enough practice. Let's get cracking on those eggs, huh? So the key to the perfect egg is combining good technique with proper timing. The first thing you want to do is heat up your pan. If you have a cold pan, your egg is going to stick. So we want to avoid that by warming it up first. I suggest using a medium to medium high heat. if your heat is too low, your egg white is not going to firm up and separate itself from the pan. If the heat is too high, you're just going to burn the egg white, which will make it stick to the pan. Alright, so once we have the heat warmed up a little bit, you want to add your lubricant. Now also, you want to let whatever lubricant you're using to warm up. You want to get to a heat where it's starting to smoke. Not burn it. Don't burn your butter. That's a bad thing to do. But you want it to be hot enough that your egg is not going to stick automatically to the pan. About 45 seconds or so. The other trick to making the proper egg is when we crack the egg into the pan, we want to do it slowly, allowing the egg to fall and not break the yolk. If you crack it and just drop it in there, it's going to splatter everywhere and just going to make a mess. So be slow when you're cracking your egg. Just like that. Alright, so now that the egg is in there, do not touch it yet. A lot of people make the mistake of putting the egg on and then right away trying to get it up to make it not stick. That's actually going to ruin that surface tension that you have. So you just want to leave it alone and let it cook and firm up on its own. Now the amount of time that you want to cook your egg depends on what type of egg you're trying to go for. Say you're doing a sunny side up egg, you put your egg in, and once the egg white starts to firm up, you want to put a cover over it to allow the steam to cook the rest of the egg white without cooking the egg yolk. If we're cooking an over easy egg, you want to cook it for a minute and a half on each side. That'll cook the egg whites thoroughly without getting that egg yolk too cooked. If we're doing over medium egg, you want to increase that time to 2 to 2.5 minutes on each side. And if you're doing an over hard egg, just go ahead and break that yolk. That's the easiest way to do it. No sense in making it difficult on yourself. Just crack it. It's about 45 seconds to a minute on each side. Should be fine. Alright, so now that we have the bottom of the egg white firmed up pretty good, you want to take your spatula and go around the edges to make sure that it's not caught on anything. And when you're beginning this process, you may also need to go on the bottom to make sure it's not stuck. The easy test for this is to just give that egg a good spin. If it's not caught on anything, you're ready to flip your egg. Thank you. My son wants to help cook breakfast. Alright, you can help later. Okay, so when your egg is cooked and loosened up, then we can go ahead, use that technique to flip the egg over. But you also want to remember your techniques, but sorry about that. Be confident. If you're not confident with the egg, you're going to catch an edge of the pan and make a mess of the egg everywhere. So, ready? Here we go. And there you go. A perfectly cooked egg. Now let's review how we got here. We looked at how to fry an egg perfectly by using the right equipment, practicing the proper technique, and partnering that technique with good timing. Now remember, you want to make sure to use a non-stick pan and a rubber spatula and plenty of lubricant. and practice, practice, practice that scoop and flip technique. First with the bread, and then building your confidence up to the egg. Then pull it all together while allowing yourself plenty of time to heat each element so that your egg does not stick to the pan. All right. Now that we've cooked the perfect egg like a pro, let's enjoy our breakfast. Bon appetit.